Hello, hello. Welcome to Leap Taken. Welcome to Leap Taken. I'm Mika. Here at Leap Taken, I talk all things witchy, craft related, law of attraction, manifesting, esoteric, and everything else in between. And welcome to my witchy review. We're going to talk about centers for the second time because there's so much meat still available. There's still so much to discuss. So I want to get into it. Excuse me. Yeah, I still want to get into it. So I have my notes here because y'all know me and the tangents. And if you don't know, I go on tangents a lot, like a lot. Anyway, but who knows? Maybe I'll just journey on to my latest one. I'm just getting everything situated so I can see on my screen. There we go. Think I got it. And I'm getting text messages. Great, great, great. Okay, there we go. Okay, so what are we auto expanding things? Apple, what are you doing to me? Anyway, hi. It's like this every time. I swear I'm prepared. I swear I'm prepared. You know, things just happen. We're revisiting Centers Part 2. That's what this is, Centers Part 2. Um, with a different spin because, why not? There was so much. I don't feel like I covered enough the first go round. And when I was done, I was like, I should have said this. And I was like, I'll just do another video talking about it because there's just too much here not to talk about. Why is this doing this? All right, I'm going to have to figure out what freaking thing is happening on my computer. Anyway, um, yeah, but I felt like it was just too much more to talk about, and that's what we're going to do today. But I wanted to take this and spin it into a larger conversation, so that's where this is going to have more of a twist. So we're revisiting centers, but specifically, if you can tell from the thumbnail, from a Hoodoo Black Girl Magic perspective. Basically, I want this movie to kind of serve like a jumping off point to explore like something deeper, the spiritual roles of Black women, the truth about hoodoo, uh, without the Bible, and how we reclaim power in modern context. So also, um, because we are having this discussion, and if you watched Wednesday, I did a live about everything you need to know about Book of Shadows. I do have this for sale on TikTok Shop and also Amazon and also at my website, leaptaken.com. This is the Hoodoo Grimoire. So this is a book. It's something, basically, I have front facing information. This is my copy because I've actually created pages in here. And that's the point. You create pages. I'll go to the back, but you have blank pages in the back for you to continue your journey. So there's sort of introductory information in the beginning. And the intention is that you don't have paralysis when you see nothing but blank pages. That was my issue. And I know a lot of people struggle with that. Also, there's nothing like this on the market where the point of it is not to just give you something to read and then maybe you start a separate book with your notes. No, no, no. You write it all in here. That's the point of this. This can be your volume one, and then you grow from here. Hint, hint, more to come. Anyway, but yeah, this could be your volume one. But anyway, leaptaken.com, Amazon, the links in the description, and I also have this for sale in the TikTok shop. So now I got my selling point out of the way. Um, Also, I need to say this in the beginning. Please go ahead, hit the subscribe if you haven't already. I would greatly appreciate it. Also, the join button to join Leap Taken membership here. It's basically Patreon here on YouTube. It supports the channel. There are wonderful perks. You get 40% off of everything over at leaptaken.com. So you can also check out my website, leaptaken.com. In the description, all that information is there, as well as my second YouTube channel, which is called Magical Lifestyle of a Cottage Witch. So on to the video. All right. I got my notes ready to go. So I want to talk about um, hoodoo and its African origins. So there's a reason I'm going into this. I'm gonna be kind of going back and forth about that. So just remember hoodoo is based in it has African origins. It's Black American, yes, but the reason they were doing certain things, which I'll get into, is because they were people from Africa and they came over. We have, from West Africa, Central Africa. So like everybody's on the same page of that before I get started. All right, cool. Okay. Um, I want to talk about the power dynamics and emotional complexities in the film. I talked a little bit about this last time, but when I say the power dynamics between Sammy, the church, and th- and when I yeah, how do I want to frame this? So if you think about it in the movie, Annie was like in the trenches in the moment with the knowledge, the information, the wisdom. Where Sammy's father, the preacher, and all, they were in the church and he's saying the things, but it's like none of this is gonna help against the true enemy. None of this is helpful. None of this, and then to ask to give up my God-given talent on top of it, which Sammy at this stage, because I'm skipping ahead to the end of the movie, because this is part two, so we're just everything, spoilers, everything. Sammy, why in the world would he want to give up anything at that point in the name of the Lord and for for these church people and at the bequest of his father, because that's what God wants him to do? Why would he do that when he has literally tussled with the devil himself? I'm calling Remick the devil loosely. But you get what I'm saying, like the so-called devil himself, he's already tussled with him and he already knows the truth. The devil knows the Lord's prayer. The devil knows what he knows and what his father knows. And none of that helped him. Saying those words didn't help him. The baptismal scene where they're standing in the water, Remick and Sammy, and he used the guitar and takes Remick out. When they're standing there, that's essentially kind of mimicking like a baptismal. And I'm struggling saying the word. Anyway, but in that moment, and when you really think about it, that was a true representation of the power dynamics, because Sammy was learning in that moment. Well, shit, none of this is okay. Well, he learned a valuable lesson. None of that worked. None of that was to go do battle in. And I'm gonna bring this outside the movie. Growing up, the way Christianity was spoken about, the way it was kind of in my family and in my overall community, I would hear things like, we going in a battle. They would talk about battles, spiritual battles, and they would have these kind of like the people I was around, family, church. They would talk about like just they would liken the black experience low key or sometimes high key to going in a battle, but we got God on our side. And I'm from up north, so here in America. So a lot of those folks say, no, we're really the chosen one. I've heard it all coming up. I've heard it all. That was literally taught to me. We're really we're the highly favored people of God and all this other stuff. And spiritual warfare, and you got to go in and you got to stay prayed up, and that's your arsenal. Having the Bible quotes ready to go, that's going to save you. As it shows in this movie, that wasn't saving him. It is interesting when I hear other people talk about the movie and they're talking about the same thing I'm talking about, but because they have the lens through Christianity, they absolutely refuse. I don't think they even want to, let alone can contemplate that it didn't work. He wasn't saved because he got walked into the church the next morning. Also, the church is not even a safe place. Through history, they were shooting up the church, throwing, homemade bombs and stuff like that, and setting fire to the church. The black church has not always been a refuge. Now, I will give credit to the fact that when it comes to um, having a sense of peace, contentment, um, for the civil rights. That's where the black church came in. I think we have outgrown the black church as it stands in modern times here in 2025, especially when you look statistics. It's not just me mouthing off. If you look statistically, um, and you look at the data and you see how many adults, young black adults, are not going to church, and let alone don't even refer to themselves as Christian. I know it's hard to believe that, but there's been a huge shift. Actually, who is it? Pastor Jamal Bryant. I think he talked about that. If I'm saying that man's name right, I heard him talking about that on an interview where he was saying there's been like a great shift, and I want to even get into that, which ties into Annie. The reason there is a logical, really kind of blaring reason for that outside of, oh, they just don't want to hear all that or they don't believe in it. It's more than that. The people, if you think about it, the things I'm talking about of, hearing about spiritual warfare, being prayed up, knowing your Bible quotes. And I would learn as a adult homeschooling my kids in North Carolina, moving about these homeschooling groups. We were secular, moving about these homeschooling groups that they call that apologetics or apologia. I had never heard of that until I was in that world. And I was like, what are apologetics? Yeah, that's, let me tell you, these little and a lot of these people are at this stage probably in Washington right now. They were teaching the white people there in North Carolina in the homeschooling world. They were teaching their children um, apologetics, and they were teaching them civics at a way that we don't the rest of us, trust me, don't teach that anyplace else. They're teaching them biblical foundations, all that sort of stuff. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But they were teaching them civics hard, like it was intense levels. And they would teach them to debate with Bible scriptures, the whatever information they taught their kids. They were like, have these kids. When I mean kids, I think 10, 11, starting there into the teen years. I know because we've witnessed it. My kids, they till this day, they've experienced being in those spaces. And we were just like, and I'm like, where did I put us at? Like I didn't realize because I didn't approach religion that way. We, as Black folk, we don't really approach religion like that. They tie it to nationalism. It's, well, look at today. Hence what I'm getting into. But anyway, how we did learn, most of us in our family, most Black folk, we learned, even though there might be a man as the minister, it was the women, your mothers, your grandmothers, and so forth, who taught you. More about that later. I want to talk about Annie because this kind of ties into her. Annie is portrayed spiritually grounded and wise, quiet but strong, which is such an interesting thing because if you go on to and listen, people are going to be who they are, whoever they are. So I'm not like condemning anybody how they kind of come across, but TikTok specifically, the way that people believe they're supposed to represent themselves. I see a lot of Black women, not just the young ones either. It's like they want to look like they live on a plantation, like they're cosplaying like somebody still like sharecropper lifestyle. Like, girl, that's not what hoodoo is. Hoodoo is not refusing to put on any, you don't have to wear makeup, but like intentionally just looking like, because they think, oh, more natural. It's like, I mean, even natural, you can make yourself look, I mean, I don't know. Forgive me, but I feel like there's some like put some effort into your outward appearance, especially if you put a freaking camera on your face. Because I'm about to go on a full tangent about that. Annie was a together woman, Black woman. She was together. Um, her home was together. More importantly, outwardly and inwardly, she was grounded and she was wise. She was essential to everything that happened that night because, well, on that day, she was essential because she's the one who was able to tell everybody, oh, those are vampires. That's not a haint, that's a vampire. That was information they needed because once they knew what their enemy was, they could fight it. Now, everybody else running around here singing the Lord's Prayer or hemming and hawing and being afraid and fearful, which is what Christianity to me kind of has you in, just running around, scared, waiting for, Sky Daddy to come and save you and to pick you because, you're highly favored. I'm being mean. Stop. Anyway, so the point is, Annie is, she comes across as such an influential member of the whole the crew, everything that's happened at the juke joint. She's like the most spiritually, and even in the midst of the chaos, she's still the voice of reason. She did her okay, I talked about a little bit, but when the scene where you look and it shows she threw her charms and some bones and she did some divination. I did talk a little bit about that. You got to think about like where the timing was. Things are already happening and she does this, but she's insightful enough, intuitive enough, connected to spirit to know to do some divination and see the next moves. She knew, y'all. She knew what was going to happen. She knew to some extent that's why she made she said that she wanted to be to smoke. She said, promise me, you won't let me turn into one of them, and to take her out and to kill her, because she had somebody waiting for her. Because again, she's a woman who is knowledgeable. She understands an ancestral veneration, which ties into when Smoke comes to visit her that first go around, if you recall. And they see the grave site where the baby, there's no headstone or anything like that. But there, she has a stone and she has the little print on it. And we see the bottle, which it looks like milk. Some people are saying it might be salt. I thought it was milk, but I could be wrong. In a little bottle. And he puts the flowers down. And that's ancestor veneration, not worship, by the way. A lot of people get it confused, I think intentionally. I'm convinced that the people who claim they don't understand, they do understand. But it fits their argument. So they want to keep saying we worship the dead. Actually, the way I see it, in those big three religions, they worship the dead because everybody they're talking about is dead. Their Jesus person had to die to become even more relevant to them, and they worship them, especially amongst Black folk, because they say Jesus is God, Jesus is King, which has been a consistent point of contention for me ever since I was younger. I was like, well, how is he the God if the other dude's the God? Um, anyway, and dude, you know what I find interesting in popular media, because I'm watching Supernatural, and I'm on season 12 now of Supernatural. 15 seasons. I've been slow walking it. And I've been binge watching Lucifer on Netflix. And you know what I find interesting? At no point do they talk about Jesus. I think because I think there's a reason. And, y'all let me know in the comments why y'all think that is. I have my reasons on why it's not really discussed, because kind of like the other religions, that some people say, oh, well, he was a prophet. They don't see, the way that the Christians kind of ran with it. But that's more of a different topic. I don't want to get too much into that. I actually did a video about deconstructing your spirituality, and I kind of touch a little bit on that. But anyway, but yeah, Annie knew, her knowing, which I'll talk more about that, was so profound. And if you really think about it, she was there, but she was quiet. She had some lines, but and when it came time, her knowing with cornbread and that dialogue, which is definitely touching on Black girl magic, because she knew he was absent of who he was. Something was off about him. And she immediately knew it. I mean, they all caught it, but she called it. And that is something that we're seeing on a big screen, and yes, it's being acted out. But in real life, I grew up around women like that who just knew, no, something ain't right with that boy, something like that. Like, you bring a friend over. It's the moms who, when you bring somebody over, and they would say, "Don't trust that little girl. She jealous of you. She don't mean you good. Don't trust that girl. Don't bring that girl over my house no more. I don't like her. I don't trust her." Little girl, and from your perspective, this is just a friend. She ain't do nothing, but your mom knew. It's a knowing. We be knowing. We know. We really do. Now, people don't always want to listen, especially some of the men folk, um, like in the movie. So they say they don't listen, but sometimes they may not. But they still do what you said. They just don't want to tell you. For instance, Smoke shows that he's wearing a mojo bag. Now he talking all this stuff. I've been all over the world. Only power is money. He's talking about all that, but he rocking that mojo bag though because he knew better. He knew, and a lot of times, the dynamic and I want to say the complexity between black women and black men, um, is having this power, this high level of intuition that we do have, and interacting with our men who sometimes just they don't want to accept it. And this is not even just like men in relationships. This could be your son, your brother, your father, your uncle, and for some reason, or just your friend. So it's not just romantic relationships, but it's like, why are you not listening? I have the answers. Like, it's coming to me. I have a track record. Like, I know what I'm talking about, and they just like, as my mom would say, what would she say? They don't believe poop stink until they have to smell it, or something. Like, she say that all the time. And I used to be like, why are we talking about poop? Anyway, yeah. But she was right. um the and again, I'm gonna explore a little bit more the tension again between faith, fear, and tradition, because it was palpable in this movie. Sometimes the most powerful character isn't the loudest, and this is about Annie. It's the one who understands what's going on in the spiritual realm before anyone else. That was something that came to me. So now we're going to talk more about hoodoo. Now to kind of, I'm bringing you where I'm at, and I'm setting this up basically to talk more about Black women, um, really Black girl magic and hoodoo, and it's real. It's not just fiction. It's not just a movie. And regardless of whether you're tapped in, regardless of whatever you're practicing, if you are Black American, this is in you. On some level, those traditions are there. Even if well, my grandma may never do this, and as far as I know, my great grandma, they ain't never, they ain't believe in all that stuff. They didn't do that. A lot of people supposedly didn't believe in it, but they use those healing practices. Also, just to be clear, I just want to let you know this. A lot of people who said they didn't do things, they purchased things. Because you're right, they personally didn't do it, but they took that healing. They took that work, that root that somebody did. They was willing to go see about that though. But your grandma might not have told your mom that. Your great grandma might not have told her daughter about that. Just saying. Again, hoodoo is African in origin and not biblical. It was survival magic passed through generations. I'm going to repeat that. It was survival magic passed through generations. Enslaved people from West and Central Africa brought spirit communication, herbal magic, divination, and ancestor veneration. These practices became localized in the US South. And when you think about it, they took everything from us, our names, our languages, our gods, but they could not take away our power. Bible verses entered hoodoo out of necessity, not belief. Bible verses entered hoodoo out of necessity, not belief. Psalms were used like spells. Enslaved people repurposed religious texts as coded tools of resistance. All right. So 1791, the Haitian Revolution kind of really freaked out the Western world. These enslaved people, they rose up, led by a voodoo practitioners. So United States slaveholders, they had some fears. They feared similar type uprisings, right? And also there, please don't think everybody was always just compliant all the time. There were consistent uprisings. That's why they were doing the things they were doing. They even called, runaway slaves. They said they had some sort of condition, some sort of disease. They created a disease because why would you not want to be enslaved? Anyway, so African spirituality was forbidden. It was demonized, literally, and punished. Christianity was enforced. Only church approved beliefs allowed. So when a lot of folks are out here saying hoodoo is based in the Bible, which trust me, to this day, I've done videos on this topic and I've introduced this, slow walked it in my little corner of YouTube. And to this day, literally till yesterday, I literally had a comment on a video from a couple years ago that I did about hoodoo. And somebody said, hoodoo without the Bible is not hoodoo. I'm still getting it. I'm still hearing it. So when folks say hoodoo is based in the Bible, they're ignoring the context. The Bible was a tool, but it was not the root. It's still not the root. It's not. I want to talk about the real backbone of hoodoo now. The real holders of spiritual wisdom, Black women. Black women. So in most Black families, as I talked about, the women are the ones who carry spiritual knowledge, the ones who tell you not to sweep your feet. I heard that come out of a woman's mouth. The ones who light a candle when someone's spirit needs peace. Now, granted, I come from women in my family where they would have been praying. They would have come together and prayed together. The way they anointed you, the walls. I come from people who anoint walls, and they walking around repeating like a chant, repeating prayers over and over again. The ones who just know when something's wrong. You know, people, your grandmom calling you, say, I had a dream about fish. Are you pregnant? Um, um, my mom burning my hair. I talked about that before. She would do my hair on Sunday with the hot comb, wash, condition, blow dry. Then hit me with the hot comb. So whatever hair, she'd ball it up, set it on fire. Um, just I can't. When I think too hard about it, these women were powerful. Uh, my grandmother, when I think about all that she built, all that she did, all that she's done with so little, that's just magic, man. That was just raw magic right there. And it's not about things and things like that. It's like she provided safety, she provided protection. And this is one of the reasons I was alluding to earlier. You don't see as many Black people going to church like that. This is one of the reasons because those women were, you were getting your instruction and your guidance of spirituality from your grandmother, your great grandmother, your mama. And now, you know, those they're dying off. Especially like my grandmother is 90. She'll hopefully be 91 this year. Do you see what I'm saying? Like these, a lot of people don't, their grandmothers didn't make it. And I'm 51. So I still have my grandmother and my mother. Um, a lot of, our folk, they didn't get that far. So a lot of, you don't have that anymore. Or, they're not in a position maybe to go to church. Maybe they're not mobile anymore. Um, so they're not making you go to church. A lot of the wisdom, a lot of the teachings, the things we know was coming directly from them. Yeah, they were saying Jesus' name, but the spirituality that most of us have came from these Black women. These women are aunties, grandmoms, older sisters, and things like that. Well, people get old and die or sick, and now you're an adult. And we have these adults, they don't want to do this no more. They don't want to go. They don't want, and they don't have to, right? And when they do go, they don't feel it like their moms, grandmoms, big sis, auntie, because that was there's a transfer of knowledge that was supposed to take place. And I don't blame the elders for not explaining that transfer. Some of us did. Some of us did have root workers in our family who did explain it. Um, but some didn't because they truly went, they have their own magic, yes, innate magic that we have as melanated folk, women. However, the colonizers whitewashing and they got Stockholm syndrome. I'll just say that. And it's laced into the spirituality. So on your own without them standing over you, it becomes almost impossible uh to feel that spirituality. You just have more questions than you do answers, and you're not experiencing it the way they are. When I hear most Black Americans talk now, young adults talk about, they talk religion and Christianity and church, they typically are hearkening to, well, it used to be like this, or they're imitating the people that came before them versus having an actual, their own actual experience. And then what they've been left with because of the Stockholm syndrome of our elders, unfortunately, they're left with, when Beyonce goes into concert, they call that, uh, a demon. They call her a demon, demonic. Whenever they see something that they don't understand or or they feel it does resonate, they do feel something like the movie Sinners. Um, Something's happening in their spirit, but since it's not something they recognize and understand, it scares them, so it's demonic. Annie from Sinners embodies this legacy: quiet power, occult knowledge, and deep wisdom. This spiritual legacy goes beyond fiction. As I said, our ancestors, they were magicians, mystics, and seers. I want to talk Harriet Tubman, nicknamed Moses, known to have prophetic dreams and visions, said to hear voices guiding her to safety. Y'all, this wasn't just this. Yes, there was something super. Yeah, allow yourself to believe there's something supernatural that occurred. If you're watching this, I hope you would. She trusted those spiritual messages. She didn't think it was demonic. She trusted those spiritual messages to guide people through the Underground Railroad. Um, I truly believe she was not only a freedom fighter, she was a psychic warrior. So back to the conversation about spiritual warfare and going in a battle and, for the Lord and all this stuff. Look what she was able to do. Look what Harriet said. She could have did more. But, a lot of our people was, the enslavement wasn't just physical, it was in the mind. And now you got to fight that. Other examples, Marie Laveau, blending voodoo, Catholicism, and social power, right? Zora Neale Hurston, anthropologist and conjure woman. She documented hoodoo from an insider perspective. So, what does modern hoodoo look like for me? For me, it's powerful, intuitive, and Bible free. I work with ancestors directly. Uh, when I work with my ancestors, and I've over time just gotten better at it, the best thing I could tell you about being a practitioner is to actually practice. Um, don't just say that's what you are. Don't just dress in the aesthetics that make that identifiable as who you are. Be who you are. Do what you say you are. Do the things. So one of the things that I do is ancestor veneration. How I approach it is not simply having a physical place in my home. and I put something down and I sort of stand there and talk to them. There's nothing wrong with that. And I do have this physical place that I can do that. But honestly, one of the places has been happening for years now. I meet them on a different realm. I basically put myself, I slip. It's to me, it feels like a slip into another reality. Um, I am fully aware of where I'm at, where I'm sitting, but I just need to breathe, do some breathing exercises, and I get there, and then I'm in that realm. It gets hard sometimes for me to be in that realm if I got a lot on my mind, which is usually when I want to go. I got a lot on my mind because I keep slipping in and out and back into reality. I have a hard time kind of staying focused long enough to just be there and get the healing that I'm asking them for, or the direction, or the guidance, or protection for whatever is happening at that time. Sometimes I have struggled with that, and my answer to that is I just keep going until I can hold it longer. But this is how I interact with my ancestors directly. I meet them on this realm, and it looks the same almost every time. Over the years, more things have been revealed to me. It has felt more real over the years. Me meeting him in this sacred space. Other ways that I exhibit or do my modern hoodoo is candle spells, oils, mojo bags, or charm bags, right? Um, I don't really do, I do jars sometimes, but it's not like a very big thing. And if I do, I do like the small vials, things like that for protection. I like those for protection. As far as floor washes and I want to say the cleaner, it's all intentional. So I may add something to it, but it starts for me. I boil my mop water, right? That's where it starts. So let's say you're like, well, I want to do all this, but I don't know how to like, I don't know what to add, what to do. A little known fact: start with boiling your water for your mop water. Boil. I know your water come out the tap hot. Boil that water. Start there. Speak into the water. Speak your intentions into the water before you add, oh, well, what about Florida water? What about this herb? Speak into the water as it begins to boil. Speak the intentions of what, are you cleansing the home, with that, whatever that intention is. Start there. Another thing is I do journal, I divine, and I listen to my dreams. I have had interactions with my ancestors in spirit, specifically through my dreams. I didn't always do ancestor veneration because the way I was brought up in Christianity, and that's not part of ancestor veneration. Is not part of that religion. Now, and I know there are Black folk who choose to do that, um, but on the surface, your ancestor veneration is not. Instead, you're supposed to venerate the characters in the book, the Jesus character and all the saints and things like that. They venerate them, but you're not supposed to venerate the people, because the dead is just dead and that's it. That's what we were taught. So my first interaction, remarkable interaction of dealing with my ancestors, I was living in Tennessee. I was a witch. um, and at that stage of my practice, there were things I knew a good amount of things, but I didn't know a lot. And one of the things I did not really understand enough was protection. So I had interaction with some native spirits in Tennessee. I was up in the mountains. I was with some people who also were into witchcraft like myself, and we all experienced a presence. It was definitely a supernatural presence, and yeah, that night a spirit attached itself to me. I would be haunted by this spirit. I talked about this on the channel before. um, it was trying to kill me. I felt like in my sleep, it always went for my neck. I still have the pictures where I had red, like where fingers were, or like fingers on my neck. I woke up like that. My entire household was freaked out about this. I would wake up in night terrors, screaming, fighting. Like at this time I'm married, so there's somebody next to me. First of all, I had to figure out that this person wasn't the one trying to kill me in my sleep. Let's just say I confirmed it because yeah, I'm a witch, but I'm like, well, how are the marks on me though? It's one thing about a bad dream. I was like, and I thought maybe I was choking myself. So I set some things up to make sure. I'm just tell y'all that to make sure that I, in fact, a human wasn't the one doing it to me. Because look, you never know, right? Now this was all happening in that dream world, in that other realm, and that's where my ancestors became present to me. I'll never forget when, because it had been happening for a while. I reached out to someone spiritual, and they gave me some guidance. And then I started getting in a dream. My ancestors were there, and they came and they helped me. And that's how I basically got past that. Oh, I was starting to see stuff in the house. At one point, it was getting really crazy because I was homeschooling my son. My daughter was in college. And at one point, we each thought we were, it was a two-story house. So we each thought we were on the same floor because we could have sworn we both saw the other one walk by. Stuff like that. Yeah, that was wild time. That was a wild time. This went on for a while, by the way. Some months. This was really tricky. I was not getting enough sleep at all. Um, but my ancestors came to me, and the way they presented, which is not like every, by the way, all these spirits just look like black humanoid figures or smoke. Like it's like walk like if smoke became like a mat like solid into a human figure. That's what they look like. That's what the spirits look like to me. There's no facial features or anything like that. Some people call those like the shadow people, and I understand that some people are afraid of that. If you ever see that, not everything. Well, I'm telling you about the one that was not cool with me, but I truly believe that spirit was tied to that land, and the land that I was on. It was owned by a white family, and we were up in the mountains. They were taking me on a walk on their land, and yeah, I truly believe that there was there was something very violent that happened in that area, um, and that person was still in that loop. They were still there, and they wanted to kill me. So for all I know, it could have been a colonizer that got into it with a native Native American person, and that was the spirit that attached to me, or it could have been the Native American. I don't know, but they was trying to take me out. I never heard talking or anything like that. They was always trying to take me out. Like this was night after night, by the way. I don't want you to think this is a one-time thing. This was going on. It truly was terrifying. If you ever see movies and you see stuff like that, like it wasn't wrapped up quickly. I was trying so many different things to get that to go away. But in the end, it was my ancestors that saved me. So that's what I mean when I listen to my dreams, and that was my introduction to my ancestors. They came to me. I don't need biblical validation to know my magic works. If you do get a copy of the Hoodoo Grimoire, where I do the front facing information is actually talking about traditional hoodoo, yes, but also modern hoodoo. And I talk about that transition to modern hoodoo. There's all different ways that you could approach this. You can create affirmations as opposed to using Bible verses. Um, and I suggest you write that down as well, so that you can have that as opposed to feeling like you have to go to the book of Psalms or something like that. Um, invoke in your name, invoke in the spirit of an ancestor who you believe was powerful, Big Mama, invoking her name, invoking Pop Pop's name, who you felt like was, especially if you're doing protection magic and you always felt the safest with your uncle or your Pop Pop. Why aren't you? And they're going and invoking their name. Put them in it. Write the petition to them. Um, as opposed to anything else. Use affirmations when you speak. as well. Rely on that knowing, and just trust yourself that you can come up with the right words. And you'll grow in this practice, by the way, but trust yourself, trust your intuition. Some other examples, money spells. So I definitely use cinnamon. It works for me. I have tried coffee grounds. I have a green candle dressed with oil. Let me just give you some basic stuff. Protection spells. So brick dust. The good news is I have access to bricks. So I'll just have something to kind of scrape to get my own dust. Um, Rosemary, I like to work with that herb because I have access to it, and petition paper. Um, I also like using sigils as well. Ancestor altar. So my physical ancestor altar, I keep water on it. I keep a photo. I don't do the cloth so much, but if you could put like a white cloth or something like that if you want to do it. But I don't need the church for that. But I reclaim hoodoo as a system of empowerment, not obedience. Again, the hoodoo grimoire is for every witch, kind of, or hoodoo practitioner, similar to myself, folk magic practitioner, similar to myself, who knows their power didn't start in a pew. It started in the dirt, it started in blood, it started in the kitchen, it started at the crossroads. There's some root work spells in here. There are some techniques about ancestor veneration, magical bath, charm bags or mojo bags, oils. You will not find Bible verses, just pure ancestral wisdom and plenty of space for you to continue your journey. Again, this is available on TikTok Shop, Amazon, and Leap Taken. Modern hoodoo is alive, right? It's alive. It's breathing through us. It is okay to do this work without Christianity. In fact, for some of us, it's essential. I'm one of us. It is essential. The more I've learned, I can't unlearn information. I it's a tough position to be in because I constantly feel like the odd man out in dialogues about this. I'm constantly finding myself trying to placate and smooth over and be, kind of bending over a little bit backwards when having dialogue with people who won't let Christianity go. It does annoy me because in true airy spirits, like my tolerance is like none, really, barely. I struggle. I do respect people. I respect where people are on their journey, and if that's where they stay, that's where they stay. If you're a person in my life, I still love you, but it's tiring. It's exhausting, to be perfectly honest, because I seem to be the only person when I have this dialogue with people I know, and honestly, I limit through the internet people I talk to about this. I limit because there are people who are just willfully hell bent on staying ignorant, because if they allow themselves to be a little bit more critical, it rips the door off of everything, and they feel like like there's no foundation anymore. Now they're just like free falling, and they don't know where they're going to land, and it's terrifying. I experienced that, so I do understand. Or if they can't, like, this is the one truth they had in their life. You got women here who have been dogged out by men, can't trust their own people, their own family. Their kids are funny acting. But the one truth they had was this Jesus, Black Jesus, and Sky Daddy, Savior, heaven, boom, bam, boom. That's the one thing they got. That was their truth, and they believe it's a universal truth. And you are trying to speak negatively about it, and you're wrong. And it's like, well, I'd like to give you some information, some facts. Well, where'd you get this from? I'm actually describing real arguments. Well, where'd you get this from? How do you know? Well, here'd you? And I'm like, well, one, I'm don't get mad. I actually been to college, and I took a few courses on the topic. Oh, well, see that That's already. If it wasn't the whole, if it wasn't done in the holy walls of a church, whatever they say is true, but not, you know, scholars. I was like, well, a lot of, the professor at one of the classes I took, they actually were Christian. They went to school, Christian school. They study theology and all that sort of stuff. And that's why they have so much information. And they are a scholar. So they also studied history. And, um, you try to make, then I'm just being uppity. Anyway, it's exhausting sometimes having these kind of conversations. And here's the thing, unlike people like that, I don't go around like if I see somebody and they're saying, um, if it wasn't for God, I wouldn't have graduated, da, 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 or I wouldn't have found my soulmate and all that sort of stuff, right? I see that and I just keep going. I have nothing to say. I don't want to. The difference is me working my love magic. Oh my goodness, I'm so grateful to, let's say I say, oh, my healing energy. I had to go to because this actually happened. I was feeling broken. I was feeling really sad. I was feeling depressed, and I got an opportunity to visit the beach and just being on the ocean. Yama came to me. She told me a message, and I'm forever healed. I'm forever, um, touched that she was, gave me her presence and spoke to me. Let me put something like that. I'm telling you right now, people's like, who? Well, no, that was God, or God is powerful. I've had that happen to me. I posted something years ago. I posted something about a TV show back when I actually posted on Facebook more. American Gods. Y'all, why somebody I know say there's only one God? That was their comment. Another post, two people I know, one really knows me, says two of these people, another post years later, I'm talking about a school shooting and like this is enough. And it was like, that's because Satan is running the world. Satan is running the world. The other person agreed. That's why we got to stay prayed up. Why would your God be all knowing, all powerful, Alpha Omega, and let his fallen angel run the earth? And the way it was explained to me, because I did ask, not in the post, but I took it off of Facebook because I knew where this was going. And both of those people knew I was not a Christian. And they said, because man is disappointing God. I was like, but what about the people who are not disappointing God? What about the people who are supposedly the real Christians, like you? And they said, and the person said, that's why we're prayed up. That's who it's for. They're the warriors, by the way, by being prayed up and following the Christian doctrine. They're the real warriors, mind you. See, I'm about to be petty. I ain't gonna say it. I was like, both these people are not who they no, they don't. No, they don't. They don't live the way they claim they live. I'm just say that. They haven't always. Um, Couple prompts for the chat if you're watching this on a replay. Who are the women in your family that held spiritual power? It's not about religion right now. You felt like held religion, spiritual power. Um, Almost all the women. And let me tell you about when I say spiritual power. I have some family members who I believe have siren energy. Um, those Scorpios in my family, is something about them. A lot, and we have a lot of Scorpios in our family, different ones. I feel like they have siren energy. They kind of exude. It's not about how they look. It's not about that. There's an energy that comes off of them that is kind of, for lack of better words, it's a certain sensuality. I wouldn't even say sex, some more sexual, but more of a sensuality. Um, and it attracts, and that's spiritual. Um, Others are the ones, the other women, my mom is this one, is the one who her power to me has been in organizing communication, um, making a way out of what seemingly no way. And there's a royalness that she has, a richness to her. And I truly believe is in her melanin. I truly believe it is truly in her melanin, that power. Yeah. And that's that black girl magic that I talked about earlier. It is definitely in the melanin. Another question: what part of your practice feels like a return to something older? I'm going to answer questions. Is this if you want to answer in the chat? What part of your practice feels like a return to something older? When I have the opportunity to be in person with my coven and we do rituals together, that feels old. That feels ancient. Hearing those voices together, hearing us chanting together, that definitely feels old for me in my individual practice. Um, Playing music, lighting my herbs, wearing my muumuu. It's very beautiful though, and it's got a beautiful black woman on it. Wearing my muumuu, um, kind of just being the queen of my domain and wielding power as I go throughout, talking to my plants. That feels old. That feels old. And it's just the practical life aspect of it too. That's the crazy part. It's not even like any big thing, but it feels old, ancient when I'm like that. And just, being free. Have you ever felt conflicted about leaving the Bible out of your magic? For those who are interested, and maybe you haven't, have you, why, not why, if you want to answer why, but have you felt conflicted? It took me so many years to divorce Christian ideology from my mindset. Um, by the time I got to Hoodoo, I didn't, there was no way. Actually, it's probably one of the reasons I kind of rejected Hoodoo just on the surface, because I was like, why y'all using the Bible? Like, why are you, what is going on here? I didn't understand that. Um, so I didn't have a lot of conflict about that. It because I had done so much work to get away from it. So it's not for me. Of course, this I need to take this call. I'm gonna call back. Anyway, I have to get my it's an appliance place. My dryer is not working properly. Anyway, but I am wrapping up with that. So let me know if you want to answer those questions. Let me know in the chat. I'll be happy to read them and respond to you. But I do want to say this. They tried to bury us. They tried to bury us, but we were the root. Our magic survived the ships, the whip, the silence, the shame. And here we are now rising into um, our black in our magic, our innate magic, which I believe is in our blood, is in our spirit. It's why when we dance, which is spiritual, and spiritual practices, actually, if you find in other cultures, dance and song is a big part of expression, within the context of spirituality. Um, but when we do, is something magical. When you see us, come on, we're being copied and emulated across the globe. I listen to K-pop. Where I know where they're getting it from. Like, I'm under no illusion. I know where it's coming from. I know exactly. Quite frankly, the Black Americans. It's so weird sometimes hearing like UK rappers, specifically somebody say they're Nigerian and they're in the UK and they're rapping and it's us though. I'm not saying that they can or nobody shouldn't. Hey, listen, I'm listening to everything, but the difference is, as much as I might even enjoy this these other artists and how they deliver it, I know, just like in Sinners, Annie knew Cornbread wasn't who he was. There's something lacking. there's just from our experience, there's something off. There's something lacking. Um, your soul has been touched or something, and we can tell there's something off. You're not like us. You're not like us. And I'm gonna end it here. So again, like, share, comment, hit the join button, join Leap Taken membership. I'd appreciate it. Um, leave a comment. Again, let me know what you guys think. I didn't have a lot of interaction here on this one. That's okay. But if you catch this on the replay, I'd be really curious to know what you guys think as well. And let me know if there's something else that you want to know more about as far as hoodoo and the practice of modern hoodoo. Um, a lot of information, again, that front facing information is here in the Hoodoo Grimoire. So go ahead and check this out. I literally need to get off here because I have to go to the post office and send out some copies that were ordered. These are going pretty fast over in the TikTok shop, followed closely by the Love Witch, Book of Shadows for the Love Witch. This is the other one. This one on Amazon is going pretty quickly, but I'm noticing these are starting to sell more on the TikTok shop and through my website. But I do have copies, so you're good. And the one thing, if I have reviews, you'll notice that, especially on the TikTok shop, people say they get it very quickly because I know how I am. I have literally no patience. Having patience is kind of ghetto. So I don't want I joke. But no, seriously, that you'll get them pretty quickly. If you order through leaptaken.com, you'll see that there's no shipping. So there's free shipping that way as well. All right, now I'm done. All right, thanks again. Bye.